Hello, everyone. Have you ever wondered what keeps us alive when all hope is gone, when death surrounds us from every direction? What is that invisible force inside us that refuses to give up? Today, I'm going to tell you a true story, not from a movie, not from fiction, but from real life. This is the story of Ayesha, a young woman who set out to chase her dreams but instead faced a test of survival she could never have imagined. This is the story of 91 days in the burning sands of the Thar Desert, a story of pain, courage, loneliness, and ultimately victory. So fasten your seatbelts because after hearing this, you may never look at life the same way again. The date was May 15, 2018. Ayesha, a 28-year-old travel blogger and photographer from Delhi, set out in her Jeep toward the Thar Desert in Rajasthan. Her dream was to capture photographs of untouched desert landscapes that the world had never seen. She was excited, full of passion, her eyes filled with ambition. About 150 kilometers away from Jaisalmer on a deserted stretch of road, her Jeep suddenly jerked and stopped. She tried again and again to restart it, but nothing happened. All around her were endless sand dunes, no network on her phone, no sign of life. At first, she thought someone would pass by, but hours went by. No one came. The sun began to blaze like fire from the sky. She had only 2 bottles of water left. Instead of waiting inside the Jeep, she made a decision that would change everything. She decided to walk and search for help. It was her first and biggest mistake. She didn't realize she was walking into the heart of the desert, a place where coming back is nearly impossible. By the end of the first day, her condition had already worsened. Desert heat is not like city heat. It feels as if the sky is raining fire and the ground is a burning pan beneath your feet. Her throat felt like sandpaper. 1 bottle of water was gone. The second was half empty. When night fell, freezing cold replaced the scorching heat. In the desert, days burn and nights freeze. By the second morning, her lips were cracked and bleeding. Darkness blurred her vision. For the first time, fear of death entered her heart. She collapsed onto the sand, thinking it was over. She wanted to cry, but her body didn't even have enough water left to form tears. That was her first meeting with death. But when a human believes everything is finished, nature sometimes gives a small sign. Half conscious, Ayesha noticed rocks in the distance. Gathering her remaining strength, she dragged herself toward them and reached their shade. That small patch of shadow felt like heaven. The next morning, she saw dew collected on wild leaves due to the night's moisture. She wiped her scarf over the leaves and squeezed a few drops onto her dry lips. Those weren't just drops of water, they were drops of life. At that moment, she understood something. If she wanted to survive, crying wouldn't help. She had to fight. She had to learn the rules of the desert. She took out a small diary from her bag and wrote, "A day 3, I am still alive." It wasn't just a sentence, it was a promise to herself. She remembered survival tricks she had seen online. Using her camera lens, she focused sunlight onto dry grass. After hours of effort, smoke appeared, then a small flame. That fire didn't just give warmth, it gave hope. She learned to walk only in the early morning and evening, resting in shade during the day. With no food, she did what survival demanded, roasting insects and anything she believed was edible. Every bite felt unbearable, but hunger left no choice. Her once beautiful face burned under the sun. Her body developed wounds. She lost weight rapidly. But the desert's biggest enemy wasn't hunger or thirst. It was loneliness. Days turned into weeks. She hadn't heard a human voice. The silence screamed in her ears. She began talking to herself, to her mother, to her father, arguing with them in the air. Sometimes she imagined someone calling her name, but no one was there. On day 30, she wrote, "I don't know if I'm going crazy or just trying to survive. The silence here is louder than gunshots. Is anyone looking for me, or has everyone assumed I'm dead?" Her body was fighting. Now her mind was breaking. Around day 45, she climbed a dune and saw something shining in the distance. She thought it was a vehicle or a village roof. Hope surged through her veins. She ran toward it, falling and rising again. Hours later, her heart shattered. It was a mirage, a cruel desert illusion. She collapsed and cried uncontrollably. For the first time, she prayed a please, "No more. I'm tired." That was the darkest day of her 91-day battle. But in unconsciousness, she remembered her mother's words, "Losing happens only when we stop trying." When she opened her eyes at sunset, something had changed. I cannot die. I cannot lose. She wrote on day 50, Today I am reborn. This is no longer just a fight to survive. It is a fight to win. Around day 70, a massive sandstorm hit. The sky turned yellow. Winds were so strong she clung to a rock to avoid being blown away. Sand filled her mouth, nose, ears. When the storm ended, something miraculous happened. The top layer of sand had shifted, revealing a small rock hollow where dirty rainwater had collected. It was muddy. But to Ayesha, it was nectar. That water kept her alive for weeks. By day 90, she was barely a skeleton. Clothes torn, flesh nearly gone. She survived only on willpower. One morning, she saw something unbelievable. Fresh camel footprints in the sand, not a mirage, not imagination, civilization. Tears streamed down her face, not of pain, but of hope. She followed the footprints with every last ounce of strength until she collapsed. On the morning of day 91, a group of nomads traveling with camels spotted something strange on the sand. It was a woman, barely breathing. They rushed her to a nearby town hospital. When Ayesha woke up, she saw white walls and a ceiling fan. She asked the nurse, "What's today's date?" August 14, 2018. She had fought death for 91 days, and she had won. Later, she said in an interview, "Those 91 days taught me the value of things we waste every day. A glass of clean water, a piece of bread, the sound of family. I went to the desert to take pictures, but the desert showed me the biggest picture of life, and that is the power of the human spirit."